I'm a volunteer for the East Quabbin Land Trust, and I had a landscape business for 30 years. And after these 30 years, I've been convinced why I feel no-till gardening is the way to go. The straw bale gardening was actually new to me. I've done a lot of no-till gardening. Straw bale was new, and I get excited, and I think it's really fun. Why do straw bale gardens? You know, number one, it's easy to work with. You don't have to bend down. You can sit in a chair. Number two is if you don't have a big area, if you live in an apartment somewhere, you can buy a few of these straw bales and grow a few vegetables that you can walk out your door and pick. The other thing is being straw bales, there's no weeds. So if you don't like weeding, this is wonderful. You can use hay bales, but that's the issue. You get a lot of weeds with hay bales. The other advantage of straw bales is that if you have a regular garden, the spores of a lot of diseases are in your soil. You're bringing straw bales in, you're not bringing disease in. So anyways, the first thing we did was, this was a field, just like you see. We weed whacked it down, and we brought in, we covered it with cardboard, and we brought in this wood chips. If you were having a small garden, obviously you wouldn't have to go to this extent, and you really don't have to use wood chips. You can use hay or something, or you can use fabric, but that's more expensive. And the cardboard seems to work wonderful. So next we brought in the hay bales. We staked them up. So what you have to be careful with is, as the process continues, you get the fermentation process inside. The bales get a bit loose, and they might have a tendency to fall over. And we've been finding this because we started with like 2 stakes per bale, and we've been adding a lot. The other thing is, which especially if you didn't have a lot, I think one of the things you could do, which would be really advantageous, is to buy some chicken wire and go around the bales with chicken wire, and then that will really hold them in. So after that, we started the conditioning process, and that is a process that takes about 2.5 to 3 weeks. So it's up to you. Do you want to go using synthetic fertilizers, or do you want to go just organic? To be honest with you, this is kind of a combination what we've done here. Some of both. So what do? You got to get a very high nitrogen fertilizer, because that starts the fermentation process. You want it to really heat up inside. So we used urea. It's like 40% nitrogen. You do like a 1/2 cup per bale. You put it down, you water it in. You wait a day, you do it again. You wait another day, you do it again. So that's 3 applications of urea. So then you wait a day or 2, and next week you're putting down the urea, but half the amount for like 3 days in a row. And then your last application is a more complete fertilizer. A fertilizer I really like for your last application is this 543. It's totally organic, and it's become hard to get. It's become so popular. So after the 3 days, or it's really the second week, you need a thermometer, because you want to see if the process is working. So you go around, you stick it in. You want the temperature to get between 120 and 140 degrees. We get it up there, and by the 3rd week, it starts, the 2nd week, it's getting up there, the temperature's getting up, and by the 3rd week, it starts coming down. And so you got to wait till it gets below 100, 80, 90 degrees, and then it's okay to plant. One thing I should mention, though, before, if you're at your house, we couldn't do this. I would really suggest putting soaker hoses down your row of bales, because especially initially, you're watering every day. We couldn't do that, but we each took turns and we watered every day. So the process is, on these, you just make a little hole. You use some potting soil, and you put a little potting soil in the hole and put your plant in. And that's basically it for seedlings. If you're going to do seeds, look over here, like the beets and the Swiss chard and spinach. You take that potting soil and you just spread it an inch or two on the top, and you put your seed in there. Yeah, we continue fertilizing for a few reasons. Number one is, everything with all this watering and all the water, the nitrogen is washed from these straw bales. So we got to replace it somehow. And also, we're finding a little bit of a problem. I think these bales are saying so wet that some plants like this just aren't taking up the fertilizer. It's just too wet. But this has been, we can't help it. It's been the weather. So yeah, it is important to check and do that monthly fertilization, and whether you want to do a granular, or whether you want to do liquid, the fish emulsion, or even a miracle grow, but the plants will take it up very quickly if it's a liquid fertilizer.
Just from start to finish, how long does it take for the conditioning process of the straw bales, just for like someone who wanted to start before things really get started in the spring?
I would say a good 2.5 weeks. I would even plan 3 weeks. Yeah, because you want to be sure it cools down. You need to start early.
Yeah,
you need
beginning
to start
of April, Tom, would be a good time to start with the bales and the conditioning process.
Beginning of April, really. In the end of the year, and we're hoping to possibly continue with this. It's not a waste that you have this. What we'll do, it's going to be pretty much composted by the end of the year. So we'll spread it out, and this is kind of going into no-till, but so we'll spread this hay out, where we'll get some compost, probably this fall, maybe some in the spring. We'll put a layer of compost, a layer of organic fertilizer in the spring, and there you go. We'll plant right into that. So no tilling, no nothing, plant into it, and basically it will be keeping it watered.